How's it going, dude?
Good. How are you doing, brother?
Good. It's good to be here. Yeah, yesterday because I was thinking about coming here this morning.
Yeah.
And then I got off work. I'm just kind of the person that's just like, do it now or don't.
Yeah.
So last night, I was trying to figure out what to do. Either like get prepped to go in the morning or just like send it out here right away. And I've been doing quite a bit of fishing. And so yeah, I went to that lake yesterday. But it was so weird going to a place where you've never been and you're driving like pitch black dark in. You're just like trusting Google Maps. And then when you're out of service, it's like you can't change what Google Maps is up to. So you just have to go that way and hope that you're going the right way.
Yeah. Google Maps sometimes is unreliable.
Oh man, it's ridiculous.
There's on Cal Lake.
Yeah.
You ever been to Rattlesnake Point?
I haven't. Oh yeah, like the cliff diving spot?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so 2 times this happened. The first time I didn't know and I was following Google Maps.
Yeah.
And it took me to the other side of the lake. So you can't even get there from where I am.
Yeah.
And it had like a dotted line across the lake to Rattlesnake Point, like as if I was supposed to like
just
fly there or something.
Magically get over
Yeah.
there.
And then, so I was like, fuck, had to drive all the way around, make like drop a custom pin where I really wanted to go to get there.
What?
And then, maybe like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or something, I did it again knowing that it wasn't the way. And Rihanna...
Does it not save that custom pin?
I could, but I didn't.
But yeah.
And Rihanna's like, I don't think this is the way. And I was like,
Fuck.
and then I remembered, it's not the way. But
from Kelowna, you can go either West Side Road, or you can just the regular way towards Vernon. And it was kind of like just after work when I was going, because I had a buddy visiting from Alberta, and he was working out in Merritt, but they wanted to go cliff jumping in Vernon there. And so I was like, oh man, traffic's gonna be really, really bad. So I'll go West Side Road. Added like 45 minutes onto my trip. Yeah, I was so bummed out too. Because there's like, I only got like 6 jumps in. And then they were like, okay, we're gonna go. I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, I just drove out this way. And now we're gonna go. A bit of a bummer.
That's the worst. So you get somewhere and then they're like just wrapping up what they're doing. They're like, all right, well...
Okay.
What? I just got here.
Thanks for driving out. Although it's like, because he worked at the time for he was working kind of like spraying invasive species, like spraying plants along the pipeline. And it's just like 4 or 5 guys that go in a truck and they just have like big tank in the back and they just spray off the back of the truck. So they just do that, and then after work, you just do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it was nice because afterwards they decided to go out to Earl's. They're like, well, you want to come to Earl's and my boss will just pay because we have his credit card? I was like, sure. So I got a nice like salmon meal and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So it made it worth it.
Yeah.
And I was going that way anyways. I was going back home anyways. So
Yeah. Frick, so... I guess we'll start at the beginning, man. Like, what... I don't even remember, like... Did you move to Kelowna after grade 9? So, because I had this weird memory that you moved to the island or something.
I have been to the island.
I guess start from, like, after you left Chilliwack then, I guess.
After I left... So, like... Quick recap, I guess. I moved to Chilliwack from Kelowna.
Okay.
In grade 7.
Yeah.
And then my first friend that I made there was Emma Kassam.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Holy, I haven't thought about her since, like, high school.
She's got the cutest kid.
I didn't even know she had a kid. Yeah, that's how disconnected I am.
She's got a kid.
Wow, holy crap.
Her family is awesome. Like, they help me out a lot. And so, Emma's a great mom. But basically, yeah, she's my first friend out there. Grade 7. I remember I was like, walking around. You remember in the middle school, Chilliwack Middle School, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so you like, there's that main set of stairs, and you walk it out towards the field, and then you can turn right before the like, what is it? It's like a chained hockey little arena. It's like that, yeah, right. And I was like walking around that corner, and probably like for the whole week, and would like walk by me and be like, "You're a loser, walking alone. You're a loser." I was like, "Oh my god, I hate this place already."
Yeah.
But I ended up being best friends with her.
Wow.
But grade 7, and then moved. And what was it? I think it was like midway through grade 9 or something like that. Because my dad, he's a fairly religious guy, and I was kind of falling out of Christianity at that point. He was like, "God's calling us to Alberta." I was like, "How does this man just call you to Alberta and you go?" Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, so grade 9, left to Alberta. How I found the place, because he drove out there to check out the place that we were gonna get, and he didn't send any pictures or anything like that, and he sent me an address. So how I found out where I was moving to is I Googled it, and the first thing that popped up was a YouTube video on Remax. And so I found where I was going to live on Remax, like for sale thing. Oh man, it's a different, because it was a small town, it's called Onaway. So it's like, what is it? On your way from this side to Edmonton, you kind of pass by it. And it's off of Highway 43. I don't know if you know Alberta that much.
No, been there once.
But, yeah, town's probably 2,500 people or something like that. Pretty small town.
Yeah.
Different atmosphere for sure. But went there, and then my dad was a long haul truck driver, and so he was like barely home and whatever. And so in grade, what was it? The summer going into grade 12, I was just like sick and tired of living with my dad. Like he'd like come home and just like make all the dishes, barely do anything. I was like, I'm not having this shit. Like I don't want to have to like clean up after my dad after he comes home. It's not fun going into senior year.
Yeah.
And so my brother and I were chatting, and he was like, "Just move out here." And I was like, I guess I could. And so biggest reason I think was like, I think it'd be kind of cool to graduate at the same spot where my mom and my uncle graduated at. Mm-hmm. It's a pain in the ass moving provinces, but I was like, sure, let's do it. So moved out to Kelowna, graduated there, stayed there, graduated there, and then moved in 2018 to Victoria.
Correct.
Lived there for 3.5 years, and now I'm back in Kelowna. And then all that time before moving to Chilliwack, I like bounced around in Kelowna to like 6 different places. Yeah, I moved around a lot, man. It changes you. Like like you mentioned when I first came here, when you move away, you realize the people that actually kind of matter, right? The people that actually pay attention and want to see how you're doing. Mm-hmm. There's a slim amount, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And so
100%.
I've gotten to experience that so many times. Mm. It's cool. Unfortunate sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you realize that like, oh, damn, maybe I don't actually matter or something like that.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, right? Mm-hmm. Like I find...
like how did you moved from Chilliwack to here?
Yeah.
How was that process for you?
Well, Frig, I guess I'll kind of...
Yeah, catch me up.
Yeah.
Catch me up.
It's a long story, man. I've been through a lot.
Grade 9.
So, went into high school.
Yeah.
I first smoked weed, I think, when I was like 12.
Yeah.
And then that was before... I must have been around 12. It was maybe even younger, because it was before middle school even.
Yeah.
And then... that was for a whole summer I was smoking weed, just getting high as fuck, literally a child, right?
Yeah.
And then middle school, I was like, no, fuck weed, super against it. Like, told my parents I smoked weed and everything, which was super hard to do.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I told my parents because I was going to a youth group. I didn't believe in God or anything.
Oh, what youth group was that, man? It was like
the Broadway one.
The Broadway one, yeah.
And I miss it. I actually liked
that
it.
was
Like,
so much fun.
great
dude.
people there too. And,
Yeah.
I think it was actually there was a guest there, or maybe it was, remember Abe, the old guy. Like, someone said something about, like, honesty and telling your parents or whoever, like, that, like, something that you're keeping deep down inside or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, it, like, triggered something in me where I knew I was, like, living with this guilt of my parents not knowing that I was, like, smoking weed.
Mind you, at this time, you're like 14.
No, like 12.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah.
Or maybe, or no, I guess, no, I think I was older at this,
Yeah,
at
you're a
this
little bit
point.
older if you're going to the youth group, right?
Yeah, like some time had went by where I wasn't smoking anymore.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that I was.
Yeah.
A while back, and so that was like, I was like bawling my eyes out, telling them. Of course, they're like extremely supportive. They're not mad. They're just like, we're so glad you told us, right?
Yeah.
And everything was all good. I'm like, I'm never doing it again, blah blah. And then
High school.
I remember Jesse and Nathan actually. They were like, yeah, like, I think this was grade 9. They're like, yeah, like, we're gonna smoke weed, and I was like, fuck you guys, like, you're not my friends anymore. I can't believe you'd do this. And then, long story short, I end up smoking weed with them.
Yeah.
Getting high as hell, and then I just kind of kept smoking weed from there out in like all of high school.
Yeah.
Kind of just like stoner loser, for the lack of a better term. But
when did you realize that, like, it was probably like a problem?
Well, I mean,
If you think it was ever a problem.
The smoking weed honestly wasn't. I mean, it got to a point where it was a problem.
Yeah.
But the drinking was like really the problem.
Yeah.
And high school was kind of. I mean, it's like a progressive disease, like alcoholism, like it starts off like, oh, not too bad, I'm not getting in that much trouble.
Yeah.
Starts off with lots of fun.
Yeah.
And then it's like fun and trouble.
Yeah.
And then it's just trouble.
You almost want that trouble for a little bit. You're just like, oh, like,
Like,
you're
yeah,
into
like,
a little bit of trouble, and you're like, man, this
like,
is
I
kinda
loved the
fun.
chaos.
Yeah.
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 And like, I was always the guy like at the high school parties, just like the crazy, like, chug this whole bottle. Like,
no way.
Dude, once I started drinking, I can't stop. That's why, yeah, dude, it's crazy. And, obviously, like, at that time, I didn't really think much of it because everyone's, like, partying and drinking, and I was like, oh, this is normal, right?
Yeah.
And there were obviously lots of things that happened that were not normal,
Yeah.
but at the time, I just thought they were.
I think that probably as well, while you're doing that crazy stuff at parties, it's like you get other people around you that are like almost cheering you on, and you get that serotonin almost that like makes you feel wanted, maybe, or feel
100%.
yeah, it makes you feel
100%.
wanted, and you're like, wow, I'm gonna keep doing this because people are paying attention to me, and so it's like, boom, there you go.
Even
and that can just be a cycle, right?
100%. Yeah, I think that's
And that's dangerous.
Yeah, it's very accurate, actually.
Because then once it becomes a cycle, it takes the right friend to try and get you out of that cycle, because it's really hard for yourself to just get out of that cycle. Because if you're constantly going to parties, right, then it's just
well, then, like,
a hooped.
progressively, right, like, then it goes from, like, parties to, like, now I'm drinking alone. And now I'm, like,
like after work type thing.
Yeah, well, like,
Always.
after I graduated, like, in school, it's like, I got kicked out of, like, the dance, like, vice principal. I was going outside and drinking, and, like, I had, like, a hidden bottle outside, and then she caught me. So lucky, like, her and I had such a close relationship, and she didn't, like, expel me or anything. She was just like, you have to go home right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. Like, and of course I'm freaking out because I'm wasted, so I'm like getting kind of mad.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just got to go. Then me and my ex-girlfriend are like fighting.
Yeah.
I think maybe we broke up for a night or a couple of days or whatever. I honestly don't really remember, but and then once after I graduated is when like the drinking got really out of control, and then
Really?
I feel like just because I had more freedom.
Yeah.
And then I got my own place shortly after graduating. Yeah, with a friend, like an apartment.
Yeah.
Just party time.
No.
Right? All dude, smoking weed in the apartment, cigarettes, drinking, like just out of control.
This becomes a frat house.
Yeah. 6-pack, like, and a Mickey, like minimum every day, like one of the two. And then, so I'm with my ex-girlfriend for like majority of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up splitting up. Then me and my buddy moved into this apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, long story short, I go to the bar. My ex-girlfriend's at the bar. We end up chatting, drinking, and then, let's go back to my place.
Yeah.
Go back to the apartment, sleep together, blah, blah, blah. And then the morning comes and it's like, like we love each other again. We're going to get back together,
those
right?
feelings of like, because when how long was the relationship that you were like with her in high school?
Couple of years.
No, fuck. So decently long relationship. And then it's just like you get that feeling of like being comfortable again if you see that same person.
Yeah.
It's like sweet.
Yeah, like we know so much about each other, and
it's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But I went, so we had like a grad trip, and I went to Cuba, cheated on her, and then hid it from her. And I'm like FaceTiming her every day, like, yeah, it's good trip, everything's, because obviously like, I've always been alcoholic, you know what I mean? Like ever since I started drinking, it's been out of control.
Yeah.
And I can tell you about that too, like the very first time I ever drank. But anyway, so I'm hiding it from her, and then get back from the grad trip and not wanting to tell her, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, yeah.
And I barely even knew it happened because I was like blackout.
No.
Someone actually told me, and I was like, what?
Oh no.
And then I kind of remembered, and then her and I went camping.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the perfect time to tell her. I drove, she can't run away. Which is like
the worst time to tell her.
So diabolical. But yeah, I ended up telling her, and she's like bawling her eyes out, and I'm like such a like master manipulator, right?
Yeah.
Like so selfish and self-centered, and I'm like, she's bawling her eyes out, and I'm like have the audacity to be like what's the matter? Like what? Like, even though I just told her, and she hated this girl that I cheated on her with too. So it was like extra.
Oh, so you didn't cheat on her with like, you cheated on her with someone that came
from our school.
Oh.
A girl, not even.
It wasn't like a local or something like that.
No. It was someone everyone knew.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And on top of that, a girl that she didn't like to begin with.
Oh, no, dude.
Yeah, and then... So yeah, then we're driving home from camping, she's crying, blah, blah, and I'm just like, at this point, obviously the trust is broken.
Yeah.
And we end up splitting up. Or this? My timeline is so skewed. This might be...
So you...
Oh yeah, this is like graduation time, right? Like end of the year or just after we graduate?
Yeah, because the trip was...
So 2017.
Yeah.
And then... we end up splitting up. Then I move in with my buddy into that apartment.
Yeah.
And then the bar night.
Yeah.
With her, seeing her, blah, blah, blah. She comes over Tuesday night. And then it's like, oh, we're getting back together. Which obviously not a good idea. The trust is there. Or trust isn't there, sorry. There. And it's probably not going to be.
Well, no, it's not gonna be there.
Yeah. And then when she split up, or when we split up, she like slept with these guys I know, which is no problem at all now. Yeah. But at the time, I'm so, like, insecure and, like, selfish, like, making it all about me and, how could you sleep with these people and yada, yada, right? Nonsense doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Yeah. But, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, and then, so, we're getting back together, and I'm like, well, we're talking and we're like, oh, well, you should move into the apartment. So then I tell my buddy, like, hey, man, like,
Yeah.
me and her are getting back together. Like, you gotta move out. And
No,
yeah,
dude, that
dude.
is such a dick.
I know, dude, I know. In retrospect, 100%.
Ew.
And
But you didn't realize that at the point. You were just like,
no,
"Man, she's moving in."
I'm so
Sweet.
like, I'm so consumed by my disease. I'm so selfish, dude, that no one else meant, like, the world revolved around me.
Oh.
Yeah, and
I like how you're kind of speaking like past tense as well, because I feel you've changed quite a bit.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Changed so much.
Yeah.
But because now I see it all for what it actually is,
is.
not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then we're living together.
Yeah. How long did you live together for afterwards?
Under a year.
Yeah.
And then my landlord ended up being like, yeah, we're actually selling the place,
Yeah.
so you guys gotta move out.
Yeah. Did they give you like at least
No,
2 months or anything like that? I think. What is it?
I think so, maybe.
If you're on a year lease, I think in BC you have to have. I know you have to have probably a minimum a month notice if they're selling the place.
Her parents,
Yeah.
my ex-girlfriend, she lived in Agassiz, and then they were buying a place that was like just being built or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was gonna have a basement suite, but it was still being built. So we're like, we'll move into there eventually. Yeah. So we moved to my parents' place, not too far from my apartment, like downtown Chilliwack.
Yeah.
We're living in there, like just in a bedroom way smaller than this.
Yeah.
And my drinking's like still out of control. And then eventually she ends up leaving me. No surprise now. And obviously I do not blame her. I totally understand now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's all about me and I can't see what's going on. So I'm like, what the fuck?
Like,
just so lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's not that much trust between us, right? And I'm also like a crazy fucking selfish tyrant,
A bit of an alcoholic.
Oh yeah, 100%. And just like I can't hold any relationship of any kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we end up splitting up, and then I'm drinking more now.
Yeah.
Right? To like try and cope with my feelings.
Yeah.
And sleeping with more people, trying to like fill this void I've always had with, because that's what I did was like, even before I started drinking, I had this like something was missing from my life.
Yeah.
And I like could never figure out what it was.
So you began
then I found booze.
Yeah.
And it made me feel okay.
Oh
yeah.
Okay. And so you begin to like continue drinking because you're like.
That's what makes me feel like normal and like I fit in and like I'm not. Like, I always kind of felt like an outcast, even though, like, it didn't matter how many friends I had. My parents loved me. I have great parents, right? And, like, it didn't matter who was around. I always felt alone.
Yeah.
Which is, like, just...
It's a weird concept because you're around so many people, but, like, you truly feel alone. You truly feel like you're just, like, lost, I guess, in a sense.
100%.
So then... In that case, like when you drank, did you feel a little bit more like yourself? Or did it?
This false version of myself, yeah. And like, like more confident, more like I can have conversations with people.
Liquid courage, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Liquid courage.
And, but when I was sober, I was so like restless, irritable, and discontent.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how to live sober. Mm-hmm. And then being sober was just so uncomfortable. So like whether I was like, and then it got to a point where like I knew the drinking was a problem, but I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Like no matter how hard I tried or what I tried, I could not stop drinking. Like it was just, I would get so irritable and restless sober that I needed to have a drink so I could feel that like
breath of fresh air.
Yeah, like that comfort, like everything's okay.
Oh,
and then and it just got worse and worse, right? And you know, like since the very first time I ever drank, I blacked out, cracked my phone, like went swimming, didn't even know, like literally could have drowned, and I was like 14 years old, I think.
Yeah. Where'd you go? Manage to go swimming?
We were camping at a lake, and I was with my parents, and Nathan was there actually.
Was it like up at Cultus Lake or something like that?
No, Chehalis Lake.
Chehalis Lake. Where's that at?
I forget exactly.
But that's in that area, right? In the area of Chilliwack?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, I really don't know. But anyhow.
But Nathan was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first blackout that I remember, and I think it was my first. Cracked my brand new iPhone 4S. And,
oh no.
Yeah, like, no idea what really happened. Like, what I remember is, so my mom let me have some alcohol to drink, right? And vodka and orange juice. Yeah. She made me one. After I had that first one, dude, like something happened in me where I was like, I like this. And then I'm going into the trailer, pouring my own without asking, without
2 shots of vodka.
Whoa, literally, like just filling them, chugging.
Oh man.
And then, you know, I just thought this was normal. You
just
know,
a phase type
Nathan's
thing.
still having, like, he saw his first drink. I'm like, you want another one? He's like, dude, I'm I'm chilling, right?
Yeah.
And then nighttime comes, everyone goes to bed like normal people. People camp next to us are older, and I'm laying in the tent, just like, I just want to drink more, you know? And I hear that they're like drinking, having fun. I'm like literally a kid, right?
Yeah.
And I get up, get out of the tent, go over there. And I just start talking because I have this courage, right? Yeah. I'm buzzed. Start talking, and they're like, "Are your parents okay with you drinking?" Like, yeah, which they're totally not okay with you drinking with strangers, right? Yeah. So I start drinking with these people, and I don't remember much after that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Was Nathan like asleep at that point? Like he had gone to bed, and you just like did that? Wow.
And I'm like falling over on the shore, like smashing my hips on boulders, like, and I guess I went swimming or I fell in the water or something. Jeez. And then, no idea how I got to bed. Woke up, my underwear's wet, phone's cracked. Just no idea what happened.
Man.
And then, ever since then, like pretty much 99% of the times I drank, I blacked out, like all the time.
So then, like you have these experiences where you like don't remember anything, you wake up in this scenario. Like, I can imagine you probably have so many scenarios that you wake up to.
Oh yeah.
And
hundreds.
You're like, what the fuck happened?
And then someone else has to tell you what happened if they were there.
Yeah.
And and then obviously, you know, I end up hurting a lot of people like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I just become this like a monster.
How did you feel like most of the times when you did like wake up, you know, from being drunk as hell, and then having somebody tell you what you had done, negative or positive? Like how did you end up kind of feeling from that?
Super guilty.
Yeah.
Lots of shame.
Was it most of the time like negative stuff that happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was never good.
No.
No.
I can imagine there's some
and
stuff,
lots of guilt and shame, and then I have to drink again
because
I that's the only way. Yeah. So and then it's a cycle, right?
How did you get introduced into this? It's AA. How did you get introduced to that?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up to now.
Yeah.
I'll get to now.
Yeah. What's up? We're back.
So now I'm at my parents' place.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend, she's gone. And I'm just there. But gone. I'm just there by myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm on Tinder, you know, swiping, trying to get that ego boost, you know. That's all I was using it for, right? Look at how many fucking matches
I hate Tinder, but I keep downloading it.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to, like, I know my drinking's out of control. I see lots of I see lots of
That's
girls.
good.
All these relationships end with these like girls that, and I have no idea why. Like I still can't put the piece of the puzzle together, and I'm blaming all of my situations and pitfalls on everyone else around me when I'm the problem, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then eventually I end up meeting this fucking amazing girl that I'm with now on Tinder.
Yeah.
Crazy enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's weird at first, where you're probably like, I met her from Tinder, and then
no, it was great.
Yeah?
It was great right out of the gate, but I was not expecting a long-term serious relationship out of Tinder.
Yeah.
And like, even though that's what it's for,
Yeah.
and that's what, right?
Not anymore, really, is what it's for. It's
No. And even at the time, that's not what it was for, right? And that's all I thought it was going to be, but
Yeah.
you know, when I first met her, there was something different about her, man, where I was like,
Or was it in a sense of like she can almost really help me as well?
well, yeah, I
From
mean,
your
at the
perspective.
start of our relationship, because like that's kind of what I got into relationships for,
Yeah.
was to like try and fill that void.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it makes me feel like stuff is happening and
You're progressing with your life rather than
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
being stagnant.
and like I'm not gonna drink anymore. I'm gonna be the best man for this person. And,
Yeah.
which never happened. I mean, now it has, but it took a lot to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She just had this energy to her that I was like, I was just head over heels for her right away. Like the love at first sight thing was like, I always thought that was bullshit,
Yeah.
but like it was real
Yeah.
for us, like for the both of us,
Yeah.
which is, you know, crazy to have it be mutual too, right? And yeah, it was just, I mean, the first day she knew I had a problem that our very first date when we met.
Yeah.
Because
Did
we're
you
like,
drink the first day?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was drinking every day and smoking weed. And so she's driving around. I'm like, oh, can we stop at this liquor store? And then once I said that, she's like, what? And
First day you said that.
yeah.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, maybe he's just like picking something up for later,
Yeah.
like to have later or something. No, right when I get into the car,
Crack,
and then
yeah.
I'm like, you want one? She's like, dude, I'm driving. I'm just like, okay, like I drink around and drive all the fucking time.
You're
What are you
weird.
talking about? Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I'm seeing her. Things are great, but my drinking's just like still so out of control. Second or third date, I had like 2 full bottles of wine to myself and a 6-pack, and was like not even blackout yet. Like
Oh man. Is this like starting at like 5 o'clock type thing?
in the morning.
No, like 5 o'clock, like after.
Oh no, this is like way before that.
Oh, you're starting like
Like
midday.
lunchtime, maybe wake up at my house. I'm drinking before I leave the house. Like before a couple dates with her, right in front of my parents, like in the kitchen, open their 60-pounder of vodka, right in front of them. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I got to kill the nerves before I hang out with this girl. Like, it's too much to handle. And they're probably like, they knew my drinking was a problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, the crazy thing is like nobody could stop me. Like there was nothing anyone said or did that would make me stop drinking.
Yeah.
Even if I knew I was hurting people, like it usually sounds crazy to people who aren't alcoholics, but like my willpower was not enough to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Like I could not stop.
You couldn't stop yourself.
No.
Yeah.
Like, and I tried like reading books, working out,
Yeah.
biking, like tried all these different things. Girls, this girl, I tried harder for this girl than any other girl I ever had before.
Yeah.
I went a month, but I'm still smoking weed instead of drinking
Yeah.
to calm me down, right? And like I can't live life on life's terms. Like that's my problem. Everything's too much or everything's not enough, you know,
Yeah.
like, and but then once that month come, like I just broke. And it was like, you know, like alcoholism is like, it's a thinking disease, you know what I mean? Like the alcohol is like a byproduct
Yeah.
of my way of thinking is so diluted and twisted You know what I mean?
Yeah, that you use that alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically you use that alcohol to replace that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's the obsession, which is like once I have one drink though, like something different happens to me than normal people. Because after I have that first one, like I can't stop.
Yeah.
Like no matter what. Like, and even my sobriety is like super grounded and strong right now.
Yeah.
But if I had like one beer,
Yeah.
I'm so fucked. So fucked.
You don't think that you've gained enough within yourself to stop yourself?
No. No, because like I literally have a different physical reaction to booze than a normal person.
Yeah.
Which is like, and I hear it all the time in meetings, right?
Yeah.
Like, your disease is like in the parking lot doing push-ups.
Yeah.
So if I, like, it's waiting for me to, like, it sounds so crazy to a normal person, which I totally understand. It would sound absolutely nuts to me.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, this disease wants me dead.
Yeah.
Like, it is always trying to, like, oh, stop going to meetings. Like, oh, you don't need to help other people get sober.
Yeah.
Which is, like, my purpose in life now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always trying, well, you could, like, and I don't have the desire to drink anymore.
Yeah.
But it's always trying to twist, like, the narrative and, you know what I mean?
It's like trying to tell a person who's going through depression, they will just, like, you'll be fine. Like, stop being depressed.
Yeah.
So you can't tell.
And I used to do that in the midst of my addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, like, anxiety and depression and all these things, I was like, you're just making it up.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And
No.
But, like, little did I know, I was actually dealing with these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just suppressing them with booze, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when I look back now, I was, like, really depressed. And I had anxiety over everything. Like, 100 different forms of fear of everything. Like, oh, this is going to happen. I'm never going to have enough money. My girlfriend's going to leave me, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, well, sure enough, all these things eventually happen. And,
it's almost like you manifested then.
yeah,
Right?
100%.
In a negative way, you manifested shitty things to happen in your life.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so Rihanna is like, you need to like, so we were only together like a few months before they were like, she was like, yeah, we're moving. I'm like, what? Like, just met this amazing girl. She's like, yeah, we're moving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And then her parents were like, so you want to move with us? And I was like, 100%.
Yeah.
So I quit my job that I was at for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'm moving.
Yeah.
Saved up 10 grand, came out here,
Yeah.
no job. Or before we moved though, she was like, dude, like, if you don't get this drinking under control, like, I don't want to do this.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, 100%, like, I'm with you. I know that my drinking is so out of control at this point.
Yeah. You just need somebody to help you out as well,
Yeah.
right?
And then I did the month, no drinking, right? To like try and prove to her, like, I got it under control.
Yeah.
But then my disease is like, well, you could just have beers.
Yeah.
Like, you can have a beer. Like, you did a month.
Yeah.
It's the justification and the rationalization that is, like, part of the disease, too, is it'll justify and rationalize anything. Like, oh, you worked hard today at work. You can have a beer.
Congrats, man.
Like, and I can't. Lots of other people can, but I cannot.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, approve the month to her. And then I end up moving out here. I'm drinking again. Drinking still out of control. And things are not going good. We go on a trip to Alberta, her and I, because I take a month off after I move out here with my 10 grand.
Yeah.
We go to Alberta, go to West Edmonton Mall, go to Jasper, go to Banff, right? Do the whole thing.
Money.
I'm getting wasted the whole time, smoking weed, blacking out. Had an entire 2.6 of Fireball to myself in one night. Yeah.
Man.
And then she was telling me what I did in the night. Don't even remember. And she's like totally done with me at this point.
Oh, dude, I'd be too, man.
Oh, me too. I'd be done with myself now.
Yeah. This guy's not worth it.
No, 100%. And then, I don't know. she obviously saw something in me that I didn't even know that.
Props to her, man.
Oh yeah, like, she's the best. I would not be where I am today without her.
Oh,
but
God.
I'm one of those firm believers now
yeah.
that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll dive into this, but you know, like nothing happens in God's world by mistake to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know where you stand on that or what that looks like for you, but we'll get into that. But so eventually Christmas time rolls around here, like just this last year.
Yeah.
Disaster. Not super bad, but I'm like drinking and like I'm just really, you know, grumpy and like really starting to hate myself, right? Mm-hmm. But I can't stop drinking. Yeah. And I know that I'm hurting people at this point. Yeah. New Year's comes, absolute disaster. I black out. She has those same friends over that are coming over later today. Yeah. And I do all this stuff, no idea. Wake up. Apparently I was like slamming doors in here. Like this obviously is not my house, and now I'm so grateful and blessed to be here. Yeah. They've been like parents for me, right? Yeah. Like I don't see my parents often, but they do live in Merritt now. But you know, they've been amazing, but they're like, dude, like this is like out of control. Like you are out of control. You're gonna live in our house. And that was their first time like really seeing like the blackout, like craziness, right? Yeah. And apparently Rihanna and I had split up that night. I had no idea. Oh. No idea. And I was in the shower with her, and I'm like uncontrollably sobbing, like cannot stop. Yeah. And I was like so depressed, and like it's hard to even put this into words because I've only felt it once in my life ever. Yeah. But like I didn't see any other way out, like, but to kill myself, like to end my life. Yeah. Which is like extremely overwhelming.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, I've heard a lot of people say it and stuff like that. And in my personal experience, like, I wouldn't have told anyone. Like, I would have just killed myself. Like, I wouldn't have been like,
well, that's what most of the time, like, I haven't personally experienced it, but like, I've been a part of helping not a fair amount of people. I could say like 5 people from preventing killing themselves, and it's scary. Like it's scary how it's like they get to a point where it's like, thank God you told somebody, because I guarantee you would have just done it and not told anybody, and then somebody just finds you. So it's just like to muster up and tell somebody. I feel like that's a really good first step.
Yeah, and like I didn't even tell anyone, but I'm so like in the shower, like we're showering together, and I'm like so like I'm literally paralyzed by the thought of what my life has come to. Yeah, and like the only thought is like of killing myself. Like, and I've been depressed for a while, but I never. This was like a new.
Yeah,
like
you want
pure hopelessness.
Yeah.
No faith in anything. And like I can't even wash myself or wash my hair because I just like I'm literally like just like this in the shower, can't stop crying. And she fuck, I don't want to cry, but I might,
dude.
She started like
that is the point, like you hit the point,
bottom. I hit bottom.
You hit rock bottom in the fucking shower.
Yeah. And she started washing my body and my hair for me. And I was like, I couldn't, like we had just split up and I still didn't know at this point. Yeah. And like something happened in that moment where like I had faith and hope again. Like, because I was like, I couldn't believe like, how could she still love me after
what the hell even happened?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like at that point, you don't even really know.
Yeah. How she's still like caring. I was just baffled, right? Yeah. But like, looking back now, like, and it's so crazy to say, but it's just like my reality and my experience. Like, for me, like, that was like God. Like, showing that he's real and that he's there through somebody else. Yeah. Like, you know, and that's how God speaks to me. I don't believe in like, I don't think people actually hear the voice of God from the sky or anything like that. I think I don't believe in that. I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
Could be their reality. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is not my reality.
It's one of those things where it's like you kind of until you experience it, then you're not really a firm believer in that type thing. Like
that's how I was before I had this experience.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in God. I wasn't like super opposed to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe in anything greater than myself. I didn't believe in any of what I believe in now.
Yeah.
And like in that moment I knew like it's so crazy to look back on now, but I was like AA is like the only thing that I haven't tried to get sober and to like stop drinking. And like somehow, like even at that moment, like I knew everything was going to be okay.
Man,
like I felt the presence of God. Yeah. Like it was like so crazy. It's crazy for me to even listen to myself say it, right?
No, absolutely.
Because I did not believe in any of this kind of foo-foo. I thought it was all bullshit, right?
I thought it was foo-foo.
But once you experience God, it's like you can't. It's just my experience, though, right? Yeah. I can't tell other people how to experience that.
It's very hard to. Religion is a really hard topic to get into.
Yeah.
With certain people.
And I'm not even religious.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a spiritual thing for me, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't read the Bible. I'm not a Christian.
Yeah.
I believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
I believe in something greater than myself. What that is, I don't know. And I don't try to define it or anything either. But I just know that like it's keeping me sober today because I couldn't stay sober on my own ever.
So then you talk. I'm just trying to figure this out as well. But you talk about God, and you kind of said previously as like that was your first kind of like presence of God, right? Mm-hmm. So then wouldn't it be that's kind of who you believe in is God? And because like you just kind of mentioned it's more of a spiritual thing rather than like I guess a godly thing. Like I mean to God is kind of just the word that I use. Yeah. But really it's in basic terms for me, it's something greater than myself. Yeah. Out of my control. Yeah. And you don't feel like that's something like Christianity or something like that. You just feel like it's a more of a spiritual connection towards. Mine is. Yeah. And for me, that's what God is. Yeah. I don't think there's certain rules you have to follow to experience God or have him in your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's why a lot of religions I'm kind of not against, but I don't do that. Like you can't be gay, you can't do this, you can't. I don't think God punishes anyone. No. Right? Yeah. I think you punish yourself from going away from God. You know what I mean? And that's just not my God. Yeah. Like, have you read the Bible by chance? Have you thought about it? Yeah, for sure. I think there's lots that I could pull from the Bible having my experience and perspective now. Oh, yeah, man. But there's lots of, I guess the religion part is kind of what I'm not. Like you, because I feel like there's some messages that they pull from the Bible where if I read the same thing, I'd be like, this is not what I interpret this as. Yeah. And that'd be okay. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Maybe not with them. Yeah, I see what you mean. Right? But there's a difference. Like, I'm not super religious as well, but I have a very close couple friends that are Christian. There's a very big difference that people confuse Catholics and Christians. Catholics. And I don't even, if you want to elaborate, that would be great because I'm one of those people. Because what you're kind of talking about tends to always be towards the Catholic side, where it's just like hard rules. You have to do this. You can't like do this way or no way. This way or no way. Yeah. That's kind of the Catholic way. More of the Christian side of it is a little bit more of what you're explaining. Is that like there's a spiritual form up there that I feel its presence and very positive when it comes to me. But you don't like is this your reality or are you saying this is what it is? This is kind of what it is. And so it's like you.
Is this your experience as well?
I
Or?
partly have this
Okay,
experience,
okay.
yeah. Like I grew up probably like I fell at Christianity when I was kind of in Chilliwack a little bit. Like I still went to church and whatnot,
Yeah.
but kind of started falling out of it. But now I've been reintroduced into this kind of not a new school Christianity, because Christianity has kind of been the same throughout history. But what I'm saying is Catholics and Christians have been different. There's a stricter form, like they both read the same Bible, right? But Catholics take it to an extreme. Like when it comes to like, I wish I could give you some good hard facts on an actual verse from the Bible, but when it comes to being gay, Catholics will take it like you said, you can't be gay. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're gay, God doesn't love you.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the case, right? Like he does mention that it's like male and female should be together, and that's how it should be. But he doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that just like if you're gay, get the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
And so
I mean, which makes sense, male and female, right? It makes sense.
That's kind of our
but
design.
Should and have to are totally different.
Catholics and Christians should and have to. And I wish I had some good hard facts, and this makes me kind of want to like get into Christianity a little bit more, because it's just like I do believe that God created this earth. I don't believe in the Big Bang. That's so hard to believe.
I mean, I kind of used to, but now I'm like, now that seems like foo-foo. Like,
yeah.
Because, I mean, for me, like, what builds my faith is, like, staying sober and following this program, praying, meditating. You know, like, I talk to God every day, morning and night. The stuff that happens in my life today is, like, I am not controlling it. I'm not trying to... I just let go and let God, you know what I mean? Like, but the stuff that happens...
Yeah, good for you, man.
The stuff that happens, though, is like, I have no other way to explain it because I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
and you believe that. Like
100%.
Yeah.
Because the closer that I get to God and the more that I, you know, walk under the grace of God and do what I know I'm supposed to be doing, like, 1, to stay sober, 2, to help other alcoholics achieve sobriety.
Yeah.
Like, that is my purpose now, which is, like, extremely fulfilling, too, because I feel like, you know, hell and heaven, for me, are, like, here on earth. For me, they are not, like... Well, that's just how I feel, though, because I came from hell, essentially, you know what I mean? Yeah. And today, life is so, like, everything's a blessing. I try to be extremely grateful for everything I have. Am I perfect? No, but am I progressing? Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Every day, for sure.
Yeah.
But,
and you can get the chance to progress every single day if you choose.
For sure.
Like,
but also if you have the tools, you know what I mean?
And that could include, like, the people around you, your family, even yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that first meeting that I went to, like, that New Year's morning, like, I don't even really know how I knew that this is where I needed to go. Like, I just had this feeling, I guess, that guided me, like, you got to go to AA. Like, this thought, you know what I mean? Like, no one can really tell you where thoughts come from. No. Which is crazy in itself, right?
What is a thought? If you think about that, what is
like, how does this just boop? Yeah. Like, and I just, like, somehow knew, like, that's where I got to go. Yeah. Went there. And my girlfriend came with me. Yeah. Good for her. And yeah, she's incredible, man.
Can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the best. And the first person started sharing, and I started bawling my eyes out. No way. Because they were telling, like, my story. Yeah. And I didn't know anyone like that, right? Yeah. Like, I had never met anyone who understood, and I didn't know how to articulate what I was going through either, you know what I mean?
Because it's like, it's hard talking to somebody who you know can't relate.
Yeah. Like, I just can't stop drinking, and then normal people are like, I just don't fucking get it. Like, why can't you just have 2 beers? Yeah. which I get, but I can't. Yeah. I get why you would say that. Yeah. But I can't. But I never knew anyone who was like sober or who was just like me. So once I like, and I always felt alone no matter who I had around. But then, so once I heard that first person speak, I was like, I wasn't alone anymore. And I was like, other people like are they like this too. Yeah. And then that's what kicked it off, and got a sponsor, did my 12 steps for recovery right away. And now I have a sponsee, and now I'm helping somebody else get sober, and, which is kind of, you know, like for in my experience and what helps me the most and gives me like the most benefit in life. And I need to do it more. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but is helping other people. Yeah. Alcoholic or not. Yeah. Like just being of maximum service to God and his children, you know what I mean? And it says in my big book, like of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I do firmly believe this. The only thing is like, it's almost frustrating. You can't tell anyone how to feel God and how to find God. But I do believe that God is in everyone on earth. Yeah. But there's so much blockage and resistance, and there's so many things.
There's so much like
in between you and God.
Yeah. Oh, there's the toxicity of what's become of this world and this society.
Yeah. And I get it.
It's blocking so much.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah. And I can't...
And not to say there's positive things in the world, because absolutely there's some great things happening in the world, but just like, it's so hard. Like if you look at even like, it's so, for some reason, it's so easy to be sad and be happy. Like in a sense, it's you become comfortable by like doing nothing and kind of being depressed, and it's like you almost have to work hard to be happy. And nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah. Nobody wants to put time towards themselves. And it's just like, well, then that's kind of what happens is then that you just like end up getting into this phase where you're like, it's easier to just like be kind of sad. Yeah.
Fuck, you hit the nail on the head. People like to be comfortable, but
people like to be comfortable.
You don't learn and grow
from being comfortable.
No. Ever. No. And like I'd be lying if sobriety in this program, if I said it was easy. Like it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. And it was like the one tangible thing that I can say, like, I accomplished this and I'm all in.
But you're progressing in a positive way. Yeah. But it's hard.
It's a lot easier now that I've done the work. Yeah. But like to get here was a lot of work. Yeah. 100%. It is like, because what it is like clearing all the destruction of your past. Yeah. Making as many amends as possible. But you know, all those amends don't necessarily have to be made. And some of them won't be made because the other person doesn't want to. Yeah. Which is okay. But it is the willingness to make those amends, which is what really counts in my experience. And as long as I've forgiven myself and I've forgiven everyone else, even though it was me who caused all the chaos, then I'm at peace. Yeah. I don't need to be forgiven by everyone, and neither do I expect to be.
And that is an important trait to learn.
The way that I look at it is like, and this is lots and lots of people's experiences, but I don't think that this is the only way. But I had to go through a great, great amount of suffering to surrender to God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, as you mentioned before.
Yeah. Like it progressively got to a point where I just wanted to die.
It's so long. It took me so
like 8 years of drinking and destruction.
That is a lot of pain, man.
But some people in the program do that for 30 years or like, and they lose everything. Yeah. Like wife, kids, house, living on the street. Yeah. Like some of them start doing other stuff, right? Yeah. And it's and to hear those stories and to like see those people recover is like, that's what keeps me going. And like my sponsor is like, couldn't depict a better person, like such an inspiration to me. Like he went into treatment with literally a sack of clothes.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
And now he's like balling out of control. 18 years sober, like and he still works this program like he did at the start.
Yeah. So that's so good, just because then it's like that is their purpose, because it drives them. Yeah. And especially after so long, 18 years, and they're continuously still like putting in that same energy. They care. Yeah.
But you see the results too.
Yeah.
Like God rewards them plentifully. Like and that's the other crazy thing is like, like I just had an epiphany the other day too. Like, so I put Rihanna through like 8 months of chaos and craziness, right?
Yeah.
And it was obviously taking an emotional toll on her, like hard, right?
Yeah.
Like she did not want to come home and see me.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just drunk, like drinking all the time and just a mess, manipulating her, making her feel like she's crazy when I'm really the crazy one, right? But at this point, I'm a master of manipulation, right? And now it's been over 8 months of sobriety. And like when that 8 months of sobriety and like good times hit, like, and it's been a really good time. The very start of my sobriety was a little rough because, I had to beg and plead for another chance.
Yeah.
And I had already gotten so many chances from her, but I felt like something was different. Like I didn't have this void anymore. And like, like I said, it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it. But the presence of God is like, it is so overwhelming, especially when it's your first time ever experiencing it.
Yeah.
It is like,
you're shell shocked.
Yeah. And I just told her like, this is going to be different. And I know I've said that before and I'm going to change and all this, but I just have this feeling.
Yeah.
And she was really resistant, did not want to, which I totally understand.
Props to her.
100%. And like, at this point, like I wouldn't have blamed her if she was like, no.
No. Yeah.
But like God had different plans and I just said like, I'm done talking. Like just watch.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to walk the walk.
Yeah.
And that's what had to be said. But I knew that I was going to, change was already happening. And it was like a week into sobriety, if that maybe.
That's really good.
And things have been astronomically like total 180 of our relationship. Like, because those 8 months of chaos and craziness, like our relationship was stagnant. And so were all of my other relationships because neither of us are learning and growing.
Yeah.
Like you reap what you sow, right?
Yeah.
And, but her and I have grown and learned so much together in these last, like, it's almost 9 months now, but so much has happened that, like, our relationship is so much better. Like,
I could imagine.
our communication is so healthy, like, and...
Because you've switched now your mindset, because that 8 months of kind of pain and suffering that you both went through, it was like a selfish point for you. You were selfish in that relationship.
Oh yeah.
And now that you've switched your mindset and fixed yourself, now you can now put that energy towards her. Right?
100%.
And so I'm sure that's helped those relationships so.
And it says in my big book, like, it's funny that you say that, like, selfishness and self-centeredness are the root of all of my problems. Which is like, finding that out was like, holy fuck. Like, so much stuff, like, clicked.
Yeah.
And these memories came back. Like, when I first got sober, it was so overwhelming. Like, that first month was like, there was so much going on.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, like, what I was getting to, though, is, like, once those 8 months happen, and they've been awesome, like, absolutely incredible, but, like, something, like, 8 months of bad, and then 8 months of good, once it hit, it was, like, something happened where, like, things, like, dramatically got better, like, they were already really good, but, like, we were just, like, so head over heels for each other, like, it's just crazy. Like, she's sending me these texts that she's like, I'm a lot more emotional than her.
Yeah.
And she's like sending me texts that I would send her, you know, like, I love you so much. I'm just feel so grateful and blessed to be with you. Like, couldn't picture myself with anyone else. And, you know, that's true. But usually I'm the one sending those texts. And then I got one the other day from her, and I was like, what? And that
makes you feel so good.
That's the kind of stuff that makes my faith even stronger, though. Mm-hmm. Because I am not doing that. Like, in a sense, I am. But in all that I'm doing is I keep going to meetings. Mm-hmm. I keep praying. I keep meditating.
You keep working on yourself.
Yeah. And all of my relationships in my life get better. Yeah. Without me putting in work.
To that.
Direct. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That direct relationship.
And thinking of it in that way, too.
Yeah.
I just keep doing my thing. And then...
You just keep being yourself.
Yeah.
Your true self.
And things get better.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. The truth sets you free, man.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
Dude, it's awesome. Yeah, no. Good for you, man. Like,
I mean...
it's a long story.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
You went through a lot. But
yeah.
I'm glad that, like, so when I, this thing needs some, like, WD-40 or some shit.
Yeah. It was, Rihanna actually picked it up from the thrift store, and it was, like, $2.
You gotta spray the shit
Well, because it was, like, a chair like this over there.
Yeah.
And that one's a lot more comfortable.
Well, what's comfortable shit.
Yeah, I know, but it's a little, like, all of a sudden, yeah.
But, like, so in middle school, I kind of, like, saw, like, you, Nathan, Jesse, Connor, Jack, like, those, like, you guys were, like, the cool guys. And I was like, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I was like, this guy, I just came into the middle school, like, new person on the block type thing. I was like, oh, man, I gotta prove myself type thing. I never really, like, I've always been kind of, like, just a shy guy or whatever. And so it's cool now to see, like, none of that matters.
Yeah, I know, right?
None of that matters at all.
Yeah.
Like, the time in middle school and high school, like, and also, like, the odds. I was thinking about this the other day. The odds of, like, if you look at your graduating class, all the people in there, the odds of now just, like, on the street you running into one of those people is so low. Mm-hmm. And in reality, it also doesn't, like, some people are still stuck in the high school phase, where it's like they're still partying, whatever.
Some.
Well, yeah, there's quite a bit.
I'd honestly say most.
Yeah, and depending on the area.
No, for sure.
And so it's just like, you run into those people, and that hierarchy system still matters to them. And then if you like get out of that mindset, it can help you and other people so much more. That selfishness that people have. Yeah,
I mean, that was a big part of my addiction, was wearing, like, a bunch of different masks. Yeah. Saying things to please other people, like, and, like, I didn't know my truth either, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which is part of the problem, but now it's just like, this is who I am. Yeah. Either you accept it or you don't. Yeah. Either way, doesn't really matter to me. Mm-hmm. It's not going to disturb me, right? I know I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know that what I'm doing is working. Yeah. And, you know, it's sad in a way to see other people, like, everyone's addicted to something, whether they like it or not. Yeah. What that is, I can't tell you. Yeah. Some of them things might be good, but they are still an addiction, right? Yeah. Alcohol is obviously just one of the worst ones. Yeah. But I've been like this since, like, the very first time I drank. Like, there's something that separates an alcoholic to someone who's not. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that means that you can't become an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. But
you're just saying that you always were.
Yeah, like, I was born like this.
It takes a point for you to realize it, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But when I really think about it, like, before I ever drank or smoked weed, I had that, like, that void. Mm-hmm. like something was missing from my life, and I like didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Like always felt alone, always felt like, and I was actually gonna bring this up. Like I remember, and like you're still like this, but I remember when I first met you, and you were like just seemed really free.
Yeah.
Like you were always smiling, having a good time.
After this
like,
conversation, I have some stuff to
right,
so
like
you can get to know me a little bit.
Nothing
more.
really, like you just seemed really carefree and like just really jacked up about life.
Yeah.
And that was like inspiring to me, and I was like, what?
What's this guy got?
Like, what is that all about?
Yeah.
Like, how come I can't have that?
Yeah.
And lots of other people were so like, just didn't need to, like, and I always had to be around people because like, only an alcoholic thinks that the cure to his loneliness is isolation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm like, it actually makes things even worse, of course.
Yeah.
But you know, I never liked asking anyone for help. And I felt like no one could help me because no one could relate to me on that way deeper level, you know? And like at the start of my sobriety, there were like, this one lady in particular said some things like to me, I think it was maybe even my first day, that like I started bawling my eyes out. Like she was like, do you feel like nobody's really ever understood you?
Yeah.
Like even before you started drinking?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Whoa, shit,
Yeah.
you got me good.
And she was like, do you have like one drink and you just can't stop?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Did she say it in kind of like a
In that
soft
way.
tone
Yeah.
too?
And her and I are like locked in, like looking into each other's souls.
Oh my God.
And prior to this, like I hated, like, it's not that I never made eye contact with people,
like,
but it wasn't like for
conversing
long.
with somebody,
like it was like
eye to eye contact.
You'd like break or like, you know, just because I'm so
nervous.
like, and I don't like, I never like truly loved myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like after I got sober and I started to love myself and clear the wreckage of the past and accept things and surrender and all that and you know, be honest, truthful, and that sort of thing. Like once you experience real love too, it's like, holy fuck! Like I loved Rihanna, or I kind of thought I did.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know what love was.
Yeah.
And then once I loved myself, like it was like,
like
the first time that we had sex after that, it was like, it was so overwhelming, dude.
I could imagine.
It was so overwhelming. Like we both were laying there after, like just crying.
So, whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Like it was like I never had sex before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally found it.
Dude, it was like fireworks were going off. Like it was so crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, life is so much more than I ever thought it was.
Like,
Yeah. Like fuck.
Floodgates have opened.
Yeah.
Let 'em in.
Like all of these things have just continued to build my faith and trust in God, you know? Like the more I try to control things, the worse they go.
Yeah.
Like let go and let God, right? Yeah. Like the more I just try to control things with my own willpower, the worse they usually like. I need to accept everything just as it is.
Yeah.
Or else I'm gonna have problems.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of thinking. Yeah. And so moving back a little bit to the middle school kind of phase when you kind of first met me, is so like some people know a little bit of my childhood. They just kind of see me for who I am. I was always like a smiley person and upbeat. Still try to be. But so where I kind of get a lot of my, I'm going to toot my own horn here, I guess, my maturity from. From a young age. Is from my life experiences. And like, I don't know if you know anything about my mom, but like my mom, and I guess when I was in Chilliwack, she's never in the picture there. Nobody met my mom. Barely even met my dad because he was always like, and so my mom, she has schizophrenia and epilepsy. And like currently right now, she lives in a care home. She's lived in a care home, I think, for like 12 years at least now. And so like that whole, actually, I guess that whole entire time, like I was in Chilliwack in Alberta, all that like childhood trauma type thing was still there, but I couldn't do anything about it because I wasn't with my mom anymore. But when I was living in Kelowna before that, so from the time I was like 5 years old to that time I moved to Chilliwack because my dad took all three of us kids to Chilliwack. All three of us siblings were taking care of my mom because like she couldn't work. She tried working a couple times, but her illness got in the way, and it was just like you can't really work when you're almost having seizures at work type thing. And so I've gained a lot of experiences that way, and realizing just how grateful somebody should be to be alive. Because I've ran into it a couple times where you're really scared that like the person right in front of you is gonna die or something like that. Like I've never once, maybe the first time I saw my mom have a seizure, I was like, I've never seen this before. This person gonna die in front of me right now, like, and it's my mom. But you become so accustomed to it. Like at the age of 7, I was like comfortably watching my mom have a seizure, having to deal with her, put her on her side. Like I know the medical procedure for somebody to have a seizure because I grew up with that. And I think where I also have so much gratitude towards is my grandparents. Because if you kind of put the math together and the life scenarios, how can a person with no job, they're getting child income from my dad, but how can 3 kids and a mom live in a 3-bedroom house and afford that? Yeah, you get the income from child support, but all of the money that my grandparents are making were going towards us basically. And so it's just like those were I never really had like a true parental person in my life because I was taking care of my mom. She was like couldn't be a proper mom. Like whenever like I would go over to like your house or Nathan's house or whatever in Chilliwack, I wouldn't show it, or even I wouldn't even really carry it that much because I'm not much of a person to like carry jealousy, but it was that sense of jealousy. It was like, you are so grateful to have like a proper mother figure, and like I never really spoke about that. Really, I kept it to myself because what's me to say somebody to somebody else? It's not fair. I learned that at a fairly young age. It's not fair to judge people. It's not right. And so that's where I carry a lot of my life experiences from. And then I've never had like any bad high school, like I went through my drinking phases and whatever, but I learned pretty quick that it's just like that's not all the life. And I think I learned it at a fairly young age, and I've always like I wanted to get into therapy. I want that's what I wanted to go to school for. I wanted to help people with the problems that they have, and I want to do that, but not go through the schooling, I guess. I want to do it in a way that I feel
experience,
which
actually I think probably means more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, what's worse than going to what is it? Not physiotherapy. Psychologist?
Psychiatrist,
I guess, yeah. Going there and they're just kind of like, you're talking about your feelings, and they just kind of tell you what to do a little bit. Where it's like, well, have you experienced this before or anything like that? And,
yeah.
And it's like, you're almost frowned upon to ask those questions towards those people because they're at like a higher state than you sometimes. If you can get real with somebody and like, oh, where's that going? Like, and listen to them, and they know that you've also been through those life experiences, you connect on such a different way. Like for you and your alcohol abuse, it's like when you went to those AA meetings, you finally found somebody that you could relate to.
Yeah, after such a long time.
And then you start to like fix yourself because you have someone to talk to that you know has been through it. And so, I mean, for me, I haven't really found somebody that's been through the same stuff as me. It's a little bit different. I've just kind of realized it through myself. Like
which is really powerful.
Which I find that's where Christianity came a little bit for me, is that like I found a God-given gift at a young age, weirdly enough, from knowing when my mom's going to have a seizure. It's a really weird factor. Can't speak if it works now because she works in a care home. She lives in a care home. But my brother and my sister would always be dead asleep. And I was, like, this is in Kelowna when I was living there. And I was in her bunk bed with my brother. And my mom's room would be, like, across from ours. Always, I'm the first person to wake up. And I can count so many times where it's like, she hasn't even started her seizure yet.
Yeah.
And there was this distinct sound that I heard. Somehow I just woke up to. And for a while I was just like, what the heck? And just kind of like went back to bed, and all of a sudden kind of realized what was happening. Went over to my mom and had to deal with it. But afterwards, when you realize what it is, you just get up and know what's happening. And then sure enough, she's having a seizure and you have to do the process. And that was such a weird realization, but it was really, really cool at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just like, this has kind of been given to me to help somebody else. Yeah.
Like it's a gift.
Yeah. And so it's just like, I was cool, like 7 years old.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I can relate to you with my experience. Like, I just found my gift. You know what I mean? Which is helping other people get sober through my experience. Right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And like, I think like that's another big purpose in life. And I was just reading this yesterday in The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
It's by this guy Deepak Chopra, but
yeah, Deepak.
You know him?
I've heard his name many times, yeah.
But it talks about how like everyone on this earth has a unique like talent, like a unique gift, and it's just a matter of like finding what that is, and then on top of that, helping other people with it, and how that essentially is like the most fulfilling thing that you can do with your life. And then it talks about how like that will lead to like financial stability and all these things that you are like, well, I don't know if this is gonna make enough money and that, you know what I mean? But like it will happen, like it will follow as long as you follow what you're passionate about and whatever that unique talent is.
And you stay consistent with that, and you thrive towards being better at that.
But finding that, I guess, is that's part of the journey too, but easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, like, it took a lot to get here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, especially, like, I would like to help any alcoholic and anyone suffering. Like, addiction and alcoholism are the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's the same spiritual malady and obsession and craving, right? But, you know, I feel like there's lots of young people because lots of the people don't realize until they're like 40 or like I'm kind of you know, not trying to toot my own horn either, but kind of like
special breed.
Like I'm one of the youngest people, if not the youngest person that I know that I've met anyhow in the program. Yeah. Because like, you know, it's you were
people
so
are
lucky,
like I mean, assuming so, people are probably in the midst of it right now.
Yeah. But then they, like, these old timers and stuff hear my story and the way that we relay our experience in meetings and to each other. Like, they learn stuff from me. Even if they're, like, 15 years sober or whatever, like that's kind of the beautiful thing about it is like I can, and for me that's how like God speaks through people, right? Like they'll hear something I say and they're like, I never even thought of that way, or like that's exactly what happened to me yesterday and I've been trying to figure out what that means, or you know what I mean? And I'd love to help young people exclusively, which is not my purpose. It's to help anyone in need. But there's definitely people who have no idea. But I mean, the thing is I can't call someone else an alcoholic. Like you have to concede to that with your innermost self.
Yeah.
And like that's step one of the program. Admitting that you're powerless over alcohol and that your life has become unmanageable. Yeah. But I can't make you get there.
No, you can't force that.
Yeah, and I can't, like, you're an alcoholic. I can't tell anyone they're an alcoholic. Only you can, but...
It's like something similar I learned more recently, and it took me a while to kind of be okay with it, is that, like, for me, I'm very comfortable with myself. And I know who I am, and I know what I like to do and my hobbies and whatever. And some people aren't that way. Some people, a lot of people out there, haven't figured that out yet. And I was talking with multiple people. One of them gave me advice, was just like, you have to accept that somebody close to you have not figured themselves out yet, but they will. It might be when they're 40. It might be a long time. You just got to be there. And you just have to accept that, because I began to try and force it. I began to try and force, like, you know, giving them almost options. Like, I know this can help you. I know this can help you. But in reality, I feel like it definitely would. But it's completely up to them.
Fuck.
It is completely up to them to fix themselves.
Beautifully said.
And for me, that's out of my control. And it took a long time for me to realize that, as a person trying to help somebody else, is when you realize that it's completely up to them and how important it is to just be there for them rather than trying to almost do it for them.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, that is like... Well,
and so I feel like this is a really important stage for you. And now helping people with becoming recovered alcoholics is that you're gonna run into that, right? Yeah, and
well,
maybe you already have, right? And you just gotta calm down type of thing.
I went through this phase,
Yeah.
And it, like, the crazy thing about that big book, and I can read some stuff to you later if you're interested, but everything in that book has, like, happened to me. And if it hasn't yet, it's going to.
Yeah.
Like the good stuff, but all the bad stuff happened.
Yeah.
And like it says, like when you first get sober, it's like I wanted to tell everyone, like, you got to do the 12 steps to recovery, like alcoholic or not. This is good for everyone. Everyone needs to be spiritual. God's out there. You just have to seek him. If you know,
it's like when people reach out to on Instagram with a pyramid scheme. It's
yeah,
like, yo, I'm making money, man.
And it says, like, in the big book, like, you'll be shouting from the rooftops, like, and you know, Rihanna was having, you know, just life things. And I'm like, well, like, if you just got spiritual, like, if you just had God in your life, none of these things would be problems. And, like, that's what I was doing, right? Yeah. Which was, like, almost to be expected to happen. Yeah. And it says it's going to happen. Sure enough, it happened. Yeah. And then I learned that lesson very quickly, that I'm not... and that's actually going to push you further away from God if I... Yeah.
You're not the controller of somebody else's life.
No.
Yeah.
And the more I try to control things, like I said earlier, the worse they become. Yeah. And, you know, and, like, she told me, like, dude, like, you have to stop, like, doing this. And I was like, fuck, like, you're right. And then, sure enough, like, I go to a meeting, God speaks to me, we're talking about there's, like, the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. The 12 traditions kind of, like, hold the program together, you know what I mean? Yeah. And tradition 11, I think it is essentially like attraction rather than promotion. So rather than like telling people about spirituality and the program and you need to do this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just lead by example.
Yeah.
Just keep doing your thing. And if people are interested, they will ask questions and be like,
yeah.
how are you so like calm in this like chaos? Or how, like, what does your daily routine look like?
I
or,
like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is like perfect. And it like if people are interested in what I'm doing, then they will ask.
Yeah.
If not, then they won't. Mm-hmm. And like beautiful thing, like 3 weeks ago, and I appreciate it so much. Like Rihanna was like, we were on like a little picnic date or whatever, and she was like something along the lines of like, you know, like I've learned so much from you, like just how to like just about life and like just how to deal with things, and everything's not as, you know. And like she's prayed with me a few times, like not said stuff, but I just hold her hand and do my prayer, and you know, she says amen, and she's not, you know, like, and that's just
she's not closed-minded to the fact of what you're doing.
But she's more closed-minded the more I try to push her. Mm-hmm. But the more that she sees just how like just how I live my life, the more interested she becomes.
Attracted she becomes.
And the better I become, the closer we get. Like, it's crazy, man.
I feel like you can really apply that to finding a girlfriend or finding a boyfriend, right? Is that like, if you continue, what was the words? It was attract and
promotion.
Yeah. If you're out trying to find a girl, right? Mm-hmm. You're trying to promote yourself to her.
Tinder.
You're trying too hard.
Social media.
Chill. Yeah, you're trying way too hard. If you figure out yourself and you just attract them towards you,
it'll happen.
Male or female, naturally it's gonna happen, because naturally they actually want to see you and they actually want to be with you. Yeah, I kind of made that connection there.
100%, and the reason why I feel like, you know, heaven is here on earth, right, is like, I truly believe this too. Like, she is like an angel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because something happened.
She saved you, dude.
Yeah, like something happened when I first met her where like I didn't know this was all gonna happen. Obviously, I didn't plan any of this, but I knew that she was different than anyone else that I had been with. You know, like, and I knew that I needed to change. I just didn't know how. Yeah. But I knew that I was willing to go to any length. Yeah. You know, and yeah, it's been such a blessing. And like, I live in the most beautiful place that I could ever.
If I could take this phone and just like show everyone, like,
oh, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's so incredible. Oh, man. Like, beautiful yard. There's a creek back there. There's a cabin in the backyard. Nice. Like, it's so beautiful here. And then like, you know, that's why I believe everything happens in God's world on purpose, right? Like. If I didn't move out here, would I be sober? I don't know. If I didn't meet her, would I be sober? I don't know. Yeah. Like, and it's such a blessing. And like, this program is like, it's a day by day thing for me, right? Yeah. Like, I need to do my daily reprieve every day. Like, I'm an alcoholic. I have to pray today. Mm-hmm. I have to connect with God today. Yeah. Or else like, I'm in trouble. Because then I'll be back up here in my head, right? Yeah. Which is like, my mind is the most dangerous place on earth.
Yeah. I wonder, like, what point will it take for you to, like, be a little bit more comfortable, I guess, with yourself, and realizing that, like, yes, you do have this powerful thing right here, but not really necessarily being scared of what could potentially happen if.
I'm definitely not scared.
Yeah.
No, my only fear and my biggest fear is drinking again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then getting to that point is that, like, what I was trying to word earlier is that like, say you do have, you know, you pick up a beer and you have a beer. Well, isn't what you're learning right now giving you the self-discipline to know how to stop?
No. Just because once I have that first drink, something physically
Yeah.
different happens.
And that's where
And
I
mentally.
have no idea. I can't relate.
But that's why you're not an alcoholic, though.
Yeah.
That's what you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so no, like, and there's a saying in the program, which I really like, once you think you're fixed, you're fucked. Because this is a for life program. Which is, you know, I mean, my worst day of sobriety, I wouldn't trade it for my best day drinking.
Yeah. Not a chance.
No. Yeah. I just know that to be my reality. And I hear it in the rooms all the time, like, oh, I thought I was fixed. I went back out and it was way worse than it was before. And
Yeah.
that's why it's a progressive disease too. Like, no matter, there's this other saying that I really like that I heard recently, like, no matter how far down the road we go, we're still the same distance from the ditch.
Oh, that's a good one.
So it doesn't it doesn't matter how far or how close to God I get in my sobriety.
Yeah.
I can never drink like a normal person.
Yeah.
Which has been backed by my experience as well, though. I've never been able to do it. Why would I be able to do it now, right?
Yeah.
Which I know that I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna. There's no point. Life is so good that there's no point in me even. I don't need to go experiment more.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like you said, like at the start of the podcast, is you don't have any like you have no desire to pick up a drink.
And like God lifted that desire from me. Like it was great. Once I believed and felt the presence of God, it just was like gone.
Boom.
Yeah. And it was so powerful that. Yeah, I mean, there's no desire, right? There, and it's good. Not. Yeah, it's.
That's good.
It's crazy, man, and like, you know, that's what keeps me from just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what they say. Like, well, you know, I was in the program for a few months. I thought, you know, I'd go back out there, do some more research.
Yeah.
There's no more research to be done, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's like you've kind of found. You found the fix.
You only end up in AA because you've done enough research, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, and I understand. Like, it's really hard for someone who's not an alcoholic to wrap their head around.
Yeah.
Someone not being able to ever.
Yeah, like the hardest part for me to wrap my head around is that like you've been through all of this, these meetings and working on yourself.
Yeah.
So how can you not, like, have the self how can you not have it within yourself not to like drink? But that's the part that I just can't wrap my head around, but it's because of the differences.
My disease is between my ears, you know what I mean? It's a thinking thing, so it's something that happens to me once I have that first drink, that it sets off
physically it's something that like almost like a chemical mixture in your body that happens
100%.
Once that Bartley fucking enters your system.
And it says in the big book, like, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Like, you can't go back out and drink again.
No.
You'll never be a normal drinker.
Yeah.
And that's what creates, like, that was a big part of my thing too, is like, and people pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. Because they keep trying to drink like a normal person, and they never can, and they end up dying. Like, my 3 options are jail, an insane asylum, or death. If I drink again, and I don't do what I'm doing right now, like, and I know that firmly to be my reality because I was on death's door. And if I kept drinking, and everything that happened didn't happen. I don't think I'd be here right now.
And that's like, I've had a couple of friends. No, I wouldn't say friends. I had two acquaintances pass away that were my age, and it's weird. It's weird. One person, it was just like a sledding accident. He was just like. I got clipped by a barbed wire fence or something like that. Jesus. It's just like that, it can happen. And then when I was coming here and just like thinking about what to say on the podcast or whatever, there was one one quote that kind of came into my mind. It was a song by Macklemore. I don't know why this kind of came into my mind, but it was like, uh, you die, you essentially die twice. Once when they bury you in the grave, and the second time is when somebody last mentions your name. Right? So you get buried in your physical form the first time you die. The second time you die is when the last person ever mentions your name. Kind of think about that, right?
Like after you're gone.
After you're gone.
And then eventually.
It could be like 50 years down the road. You could be the most famous person ever.
Yeah.
Robin Williams, right? People are still mentioning his name. I just mentioned his name.
But
he hasn't died yet.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I found
in the form of like spirit, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's another thing. Like, that's why I feel so like I want to leave my mark, you know? Like, in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. I think it's really, really important is that, like, whenever I die, like, whether it's going to be old or young, it's like I want people to remember me for a specific reason. And I think my biggest reason is just, like, being a happy guy and just going with the flow and helping people and giving advice to people. That's all. Like,
yeah. And I mean, when I thought of you before you came here, that's what I thought of you as. Yeah. Was like pretty carefree. Yeah. Always had a smile on his face. Yeah. And just a good outlook on life. Like, that's what I remembered you as back then.
Yeah.
So that means that you're leaving a pretty good imprint back then, right? And you've obviously grown a lot more since then. And
it's really nice that I give myself a lot of credit for kind of realizing that a little bit at a younger age. And just not really having much of an interest in doing a lot of that high school type of teenage stuff, getting in and drinking and partying and getting stuck in that phase. Like, when so I was in a 2.5 year relationship when I lived in Victoria. And after that relationship was when I really started, like, pursuing myself. And I always talked about just, like, how much I love tea, right? But I never did anything about it. I was just like, I occasionally drink tea or whatever. But then I got into it, man. Like, I first, in Victoria, before I moved back to Kelowna, there's this, it's called Specialty Tea in Victoria. And it's like, I think it's on Yate Street, and you're going down to the water, and it's right by Patagonia store. And you walk into it, and it's like very traditional Chinese type of place. And there's just, like, loose leaf tea everywhere.
Yeah.
And I got this, like, starter pack of, it's like you can get 500 gram bags of tea, like whichever ones you want, for like $30 or something like that. I was like, okay, sweet. And then just the amount of tea that's out there, as well as coffee. There's many different types of coffee.
Oh yeah, love coffee.
But after learning a little bit about, like, just the benefits of tea and different types of tea, and then, dude, for some reason I got into, like, looking at, like, all the different types of tea. So, like, oolong, white tea, green tea, rooibos, herbal tea, the boiling points. So, like, black teas. It's like when you're making black tea, and you, like, when you boil water, it's at, like, a rolling boil. It's totally fine to do it with black tea, because it's basically already burnt, essentially. If you put boiling water with green tea, it really messes up the flavor.
Dang.
Yeah. And then the steeping times as well. And, like, oh, man. It's so fun when you make the perfect cup of green tea. And you just get, like, the temperature right, because you boil the water and you let it sit, so it's not a rolling boil anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Let it sit for, like, 2-3 minutes. And then you steep the tea, and you gotta, like, watch it, basically. Like, if you over steep it, then it's just so bitter. You may as well throw it out. Like, if you're an avid tea drinker. Like, I brought...
My girlfriend's in tea, but not like this, man.
So I got into it, and it just, like, it just brings me joy. It's so funny, but it's awesome. Like
it's great.
I bring tea all the time with me, and whenever like I found this one really good green tea that I like, and my sister bought me like a 500-gram bag of it, and just as like when she came to visit me one time and from Victoria, she's like brought this big bag. I was like, and yeah, that tea. It's like when you. Like I brought it with me. If you like the perfect steep, like, and I usually drink it black because I want like the purest form of the tea.
Yeah,
and it's just perfect.
Yeah, when I do drink tea, I don't add anything to it. Yeah,
and then what I have been doing recently is like Earl Grey tea, just like 1 in 1, and it almost tastes more like English breakfast tea or something like that. Or like I've never been to England, but I could imagine if you're drinking Earl Grey tea in England, it tastes exactly like that, and it's like
so random, but
just like so fulfilling. Like I just needed something.
That's good, man.
After that long relationship, and it ended fairly mutually, and after that, I just needed something to like. Show that like I'm putting work into myself. For some reason that was
yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty good thing to be into.
Still going?
Yeah. Cool. I don't know how far we are in, but
I had a thought. I was like, man, it would really suck if both of these were dead right now.
I was thinking that when we started, I was like, oh, we can wrap it up if you want.
Yeah. See, there you go.